Smoke drifted across the sky like a warning. The red sun was setting behind a broken city. Craters covered the land, and fire burned quietly in the distance. The air was thick with the smell of melted metal and dust. Daxon wiped the sweat off his forehead. His arms still hurt from the last fight, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. Not now. The mission was too important. He wasn't alone. A group of elite humans stood behind him, soldiers trained to fight in alien zones. But they were not the reason this war had turned strange. No, that reason stood a few meters ahead of him still, calm and watching him with glowing eyes. She was unlike anything Daxon had ever seen. Tall, slender, and blue-skinned, the alien girl looked both dangerous and beautiful. Her long silver hair fell straight over a black suit that hugged her body like it was made for speed and war. Her face was cold, unreadable, but something about her eyes told a different story. Her name was Soraya. She was the daughter of the High Matron of Velor, a planet that once had peace treaties with Earth. But peace had broken. The Velorians blamed humans for the theft of their sacred energy core. Earth blamed Velor for the attack on the space station orbiting Jupiter. No one knew the truth. And now war had come, but this war wasn't just about nations. It was personal now. Soraya had stopped the human strike team earlier that day, alone. She didn't kill anyone. She just stood in their path. The humans aimed their weapons. Daxon, their leader, raised a hand to stop them. She had asked for him by name. "You want peace?" She had asked in a calm voice. "Prove it." Now they stood here, surrounded by smoke and silence. Soraya stepped closer. Her bright red lips didn't smile. "You say you fight for peace, but all I see is fire. Tell me, Daxon, why should I believe anything you say?" Daxon didn't answer right away. His fingers twitched at his side. He wanted to fight her. He wanted to trust her. He didn't know which was right. "I don't care about orders," he said finally. "I care about the truth. If you know something, anything that can stop this war, I want to hear it." "You speak like you're in control," she said, her voice sharp. "But you don't even know what's been taken. You don't even know who the real enemy is." Daxon's jaw tightened. "Then show me," she paused. The wind caught her hair, silver strands dancing around her face. "No," she said, "you must earn it. Prove you are more than just a soldier. Prove you are not like the others." Daxon stepped forward. "How?" She pointed behind her. In the distance, a large metallic object lay half buried in the dirt. It was glowing faintly blue. He didn't recognize the technology. "Inside that capsule is a memory stone," she said. "It holds the truth, but the area is guarded. Not by my people, by something worse." "Who?" "They were created during the Shadow Years, biotech soldiers that obey no master. They protect what they don't understand." Daxon looked at his team, then back at her. "You expect me to walk into that alone?" "No," Soraya said. "I expect you to survive." The team behind Daxon shifted nervously. One man whispered, "This is a trap." Daxon didn't think. So, he looked into Soraya's eyes and saw something strange. Not lies, not hatred, something else. Maybe even hope. He turned back to her. "I'll do it." "You go alone," she said. He nodded. The walk to the capsule felt longer than it was. The ground was cracked and hot beneath his boots. Each step made his heart beat faster. He could still feel Soraya's eyes on his back. He didn't look back. He reached the capsule. The metal hummed with energy. He could hear something moving nearby, quick, sharp sounds, like claws on steel. He crouched low and opened a hidden panel on the side of the device. Inside was the memory. Stone. Smooth, black, glowing with soft light. He reached for it. Then it happened. A figure leapt from the shadows. It was tall, made of wires and bone-like armor. Its eyes burned red. Daxon rolled to the side as the creature struck. its claws cutting deep into the dirt where he had just stood. He pulled out his plasma knife and slashed upward. Sparks flew. The creature screeched but didn't stop. Another strike came fast. Daxon dodged again, barely keeping his balance. He had no time to think, no time to breathe. He just moved, ducking, stabbing, striking. The creature was strong, but it wasn't smart. It moved by instinct. Daxon waited for a mistake. It came. Creature lunged too far. Daxon slid beneath it and drove his knife into the base of its neck. The beast shook, then went still. He grabbed the stone and ran back, not stopping until Soraya came into view again. He dropped the stone at her feet. "I did it," he said, panting. "Now tell me everything." Soraya looked at him. "For the first time," she smiled. Daxon stood with his chest rising and falling, sweat running down his face. The memory stone glowed faintly beside Soraya's feet. He had risked his life for it. He didn't even know what it truly was. But he had done it, not for glory, not for command, but because something inside told him it mattered. Soraya knelt slowly and picked up the stone. It pulsed in her hand like it was alive. Her expression changed. The cold mask she wore earlier melted just a little. "You survived," she said softly. "You are not like the others." Daxon's voice was tired. "Then start talking. What is this stone? Why does it matter so much?" Soraya looked at her guards in the distance. They waited silently like shadows. Then she turned back to him. "This stone holds recorded memories," she said. "Not just images, emotions, pain, truth. My mother used it before she died. She saw what really started this war." "I thought she died in an ambush," Daxon said. Soraya looked away. "That's what they told me. But this stone, this will show us what really happened." She placed it on the ground between them. The stone floated slightly, and a beam of light shot upward, forming an image in the air. It was blurry at first, then sharpened. The human stepped closer. In the glowing vision, they saw a large Valorian chamber. The High Matron stood at its center, speaking with someone. But that someone wasn't human or Valorian. Its face was covered by a dark helmet, and its voice was scrambled. Soraya's eyes narrowed. This was the day before the Jupiter attack. The figure handed something to the matron, a silver cube. She touched it. Her face went pale. Suddenly, the vision changed. Explosions rocked the chamber. Guards ran in. The dark figure vanished. In a blink, leaving only smoke. Then the image ended. The stone dropped back to the dirt. Daxon blinked. What was that? Who was that figure? Soraya's voice was tense. "I don't know. But that was not one of our people. Or yours." Daxon rubbed his chin. "Then someone wanted war. Someone who isn't on either side." "Exactly," Soraya said. "And they succeeded. We are fighting the wrong enemy." His team looked shaken. One of the soldiers, a woman named Torres, spoke. "If that's true, this war is based on a lie." Daxon stared at Soraya. "Why show me this? Why now?" Soraya stood tall again. "Because I want peace. I want to stop this madness. But I cannot do it alone. My people will not believe me. They think I'm too young, too soft. But if a human leader stood beside me..." Daxon's eyes narrowed. "You want me to go with you, to your people? They need to see you're not a monster," she said. "And I need someone brave enough to walk into a fire with me." He thought for a moment. The human command wouldn't like this. He could be seen as a traitor, or worse. But deep down, he knew the truth mattered more than loyalty to lies. "I'll go," he said. Soraya looked surprised. "Just like that?" "I've already come this far," he replied. "No turning back now." Soraya nodded. "Then we leave tonight." They moved quickly. Her ship was hidden behind the hills, a sleek black craft that hummed like it was alive. The human team watched in silence as Daxon stepped inside. Torres called out, "You sure about this, sir?" "No," he said honestly, "but I believe it's right." The doors closed behind him. As the ship lifted into the sky, Soraya sat beside him. She looked at him without speaking for a while. Then she said, "You surprised me today." He smiled faintly. "That makes two of us." Outside, the stars blinked as they passed through the clouds, heading toward Valorian space, toward the unknown. But none of them knew that far below, in the shadows of a ruined city, a pair of glowing red eyes had watched everything. Something else had awakened, and it was coming. The journey to Velar was quiet, but the silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy with thoughts, doubts, and questions. Daxon stared out the window of the alien ship, watching the stars stretch and bend as they moved faster than light. Soraya sat across from him, watching a small holographic screen. She didn't speak for a long time. Finally, Daxon broke the silence. "What happens when we land?" Soraya looked up. "We don't go to the capital. It's too dangerous. My people are watching for traitors. We land at the outpost where my mother once ruled. Her loyal guard might still be there. And if they're not loyal anymore, then we die." Daxon nodded slowly, comforting. She gave a small smile. "I warned you." The ship dropped out of hyperspeed near a quiet moon that orbited Velar. The planet below looked like a jewel blue, green and gold, but Daxon knew better. Beauty could hide violence. He'd seen it before. They landed in a valley surrounded by cliffs. An old tower stood near the edge, covered in vines and dust. Soraya walked ahead, her boots crunching softly on the stone path. Daxon followed, alert. He kept his hand near his sidearm, just in case. Inside the tower, it was dark and cool. Stone walls stretched high above them, covered in glowing moss. As they stepped deeper inside, a figure stepped from the shadows. "Princess Soraya," the figure said, kneeling. Daxon raised his weapon on instinct, but Soraya raised a hand. "He's one of mine," the figure stood. He was tall and armored in a dark silver suit. His face was old, but strong. "It has been too long," he said. "We feared you were dead." "I'm very much alive," she said. "And I have proof. The truth about the war." The man's eyes flicked to Daxon. "And him? He helped me find the memory stone." The guard studied Daxon. A human, bold choice. "He risked his life for it," Soraya said. "That's more than most of our own have done." The man nodded slowly. "Then come. Show me." They followed him into a hidden chamber below the tower. There, Soraya placed the stone on a platform. The memory played again: her mother, the dark figure, the stolen cube, and the sudden attack. The guard watched in silence. When it ended, he stepped back. "This changes everything." "Then help us," Soraya said. "We need to get this to the council." "They won't believe it," the guard said. "They've already declared war. They will call it fake. They will call you a traitor." Soraya's voice was sharp. "Then let them. But I won't stay silent." Suddenly, the tower shook. Daxon pulled his weapon. "What was that?" The guard checked a screen on the wall. "Something is coming." Soraya moved to the window. Black clouds rolled across the sky too fast, too thick to be natural. Beneath them, something moved. Daxon's eyes narrowed. "That's not a storm." "No," Soraya said. "It's them." The creatures that had guarded the capsule were coming. But this time, there were more. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Daxon looked at her. "How did they follow us?" "They track energy signatures." The memory stone must have called to them. The guard ran to a console. "We can seal the gates, buy time. But we cannot fight all of them." Daxon stepped forward. "Then don't fight. Lure them." Soraya turned. "What?" "Give me the stone," Daxon said. "I'll lead them away. You take the backup copy to the capital. Show the council." Soraya's eyes widened. "That's suicide." "Not if I move fast," he said. "I've handled worse." "No, Daxon," she said. You came this far with me. I won't let you die now. I'm not dying, he said. I'm distracting. There's a difference. She looked at him for a long time, searching for any sign of doubt. There was none. Finally, she handed him a small shard. This is the original. I'll keep the copy. You run east. Through the hills. There's a canyon they can't follow far. There. He nodded, slipping the shard into a secure pocket. The tower shook again, stronger this time. Screeches echoed in the distance. They moved quickly. The gates opened, and Daxon sprinted into the shadows of the cliffs, leading the swarm away. Saraya watched him go, her chest tight. He's brave, the guard said. He's more than that, Saraya whispered. He might be the only hope we have. But deep in the clouds above them, something else watched. Not a creature, not a soldier, a machine, and it was preparing to strike. Daxon ran fast, his boots hitting the cracked ground hard. Behind him, the creatures chased like a dark wave, silent, cold, and without fear. The shard pulsed in his chest pocket, sending out energy like a beacon. It was what they wanted. He leapt over rocks and slid down dusty hills, never stopping. His breath came fast, his muscles burned, but he didn't slow down. He couldn't. Every second he bought gave Saraya a better chance to reach the council. He reached the canyon just as the first of the creatures caught up. Its claws slashed the air behind him. Daxon turned, fired a pulse shot into its chest, and it collapsed into sparks. But there were many more. He dove behind a boulder and activated a small drone beacon from his belt. It flew upward, flashing brightly. The creatures, confused by the light and signal, paused. Daxon took the chance to climb higher into the rocks, leading them further away from the tower. Meanwhile, Saraya and the old guard rode a sleek glider through the forests of Velar, heading toward the capital. Her face was calm, but her mind raced. The council would not welcome her. They had called her soft, weak, unworthy of her mother's throne. But she had the proof now. She had the truth. The glider cut through the trees, but suddenly the sky flashed. A massive dark object descended from the clouds above the capital. It was shaped like a black triangle, smooth and silent. The guard narrowed his eyes. That's not Valorian tech. Saraya stood. It's them, the same ones from the vision. The ship released smaller drones that spread across the city like insects. Panic followed. Alarms blared. Saraya leaned forward. We don't go to the council chamber, she said. They won't listen while scared. We go to the Hall of Memory. Broadcast the truth to the people directly, the guard nodded. Bold plan. It's the only one we have. They changed course and flew low to avoid detection. At the hall, a group of Valorian soldiers tried to stop them. Saraya stepped out, raising both hands. I am Princess Saraya, daughter of Matron Vera, she said. I have proof of the real enemy. Let me in. The soldiers hesitated. Then one of them lowered his weapon. Let her pass. Inside the hall, Saraya placed the copied shard into the memory pool. The image from earlier appeared again, her mother, the dark figure, the betrayal. It was shown live across the public. City screens. People stopped running. They watched. They listened. Shock filled their faces. Anger followed. At the canyon, Daxon was still alive, but barely. His suit was torn. Blood ran down his arm. 3 of the creatures lay in pieces around him, but many more still searched the rocks. He pulled out his last pulse grenade and set it for delayed detonation. Then he climbed higher, letting his body scream in pain. His only goal was to keep moving, keep drawing them away. Suddenly, a sharp sound filled the air, not the screech of the creatures, but something new. A deep hum. Daxon looked up. A ship hovered above him. Not Saraya's, not human. The dark triangle from the capital had sent a scout. It dropped a tall machine with glowing red eyes. Unlike the others, this one had intelligence in its stare. It looked at Daxon and spoke in a low, broken voice. You ... Should not exist ... Daxon raised his weapon, breathing hard. Yeah? Well, I'm still here. The machine moved fast, striking the ground with a shockwave. Daxon was thrown back, landing hard on his side. Pain exploded in his ribs. He rolled, fired twice, but the machine blocked the blasts with a shield. It advanced, scanning him. You carry the core, it said. Daxon grabbed the grenade and held it tightly. Come take it. He pressed the trigger. And through it, a flash lit the canyon. Dust exploded into the air. Silence followed. At the Hall of Memory, the broadcast ended. The people stood quiet, then they began to chant, "Peace! Truth! Saraya!" She stood at the center, her face calm but her heart breaking. Where is he now? One citizen asked. She looked to the sky. I don't know. Far away, the dust began to clear in the canyon. A figure crawled from the rocks, coughing, bleeding but alive. Daxon opened his eyes. I'm not done yet, he whispered, but as he stood, the ground beneath him began to tremble. Something bigger was coming. Daxon stood weakly on the edge of the canyon, bruised, bleeding, and barely breathing. His body ached with every step, but he refused to fall. Dust and smoke still floated in the air, and behind him, the remains of the destroyed machine sparked. Quietly, he had survived, but he wasn't safe yet. The ground trembled again, heavier now, slower. Something massive was approaching. He looked toward the canyon wall and saw it. A towering shadow, nearly 3 stories tall. A walking machine, black and silent, with glowing red lights along its body. It looked like a god of war, and it was. Coming for him, Daxon reached for his sidearm but found it broken. He was out of grenades, and the shard was still tucked against his chest, pulsing. He had nothing left but his will. Still he stood tall. If you're going to kill me, he muttered, you better earn it. The machine raised its arm. A cannon. Powered up, glowing blue. Just as it fired, Daxon jumped behind a rock. The blast missed by inches, throwing chunks of stone everywhere. But suddenly, another blast came from the sky. Not at Daxon. At the machine. A sharp blue beam cut into the walker's side, throwing it off balance. A second shot followed. Then a sleek black ship dropped from the clouds. It was Saraya. The ship hovered, and the side door opened. The old guard leaned out, shouting, "Get in!" Daxon didn't wait. He ran, ignoring the pain. As the machine fired again, he jumped through the door. The ship lifted fast, speeding away from the giant walker. Inside, Saraya caught him as he collapsed. "You're alive," she whispered. "Barely," Daxon said, coughing. "Glad you got the message. We saw the scanner spike. We came as fast as we could." The guard flew the ship low over the rocky ground as explosions echoed behind them. Daxon sat back, his eyes barely open. "Did they believe you?" Saraya nodded. "The people saw the truth. The council had no choice. They've paused all attacks. An investigation is starting." Yamtem laughed weakly. "You did it." "No," she said, "we did. But their relief didn't last long. An alert flashed on the ship's console. Multiple signals, unknown ships entering orbit. The guard frowned. "They're not Villorian, and they're not Earth ships either." Saraya stepped forward. "Put them on screen." The view filled with black triangular ships, dozens of them. Silent, dark, and spreading like a plague through space. At the center was one far larger than the rest. A command vessel. Daxon stared. "That's them, the ones from the memory stone. They're moving now because we revealed the truth." Saraya said, "They've been hiding in the shadows. Now they're ready to strike. What do they want?" The guard asked. Daxon sat up slowly. "They want the core. The one stolen from Veller. They used it to create those machines." Saraya turned to him. "Then we still have a chance." "How?" "We have something they want," she said, pointing. At his chest, Daxon looked down at the shard. Soraya looked at the others. We don't wait for them to strike. We take the fight to them. We destroy their control system. Without it, their whole army will fall. The guard looked surprised. You want to attack their command ship? Yes, she said. It's the only way. Daxon gave a tired smile. You're starting to sound like me. I learned from the best, she said. The ship turned and sped toward the dark fleet. The sky grew darker, filled with strange clouds and enemy drones. But inside the ship, a small team prepared for a mission that could end everything. No backup, no army, just a human, a Valorian princess, and an old loyal guard. The odds were impossible, but for the first time, they knew who the real enemy was. And they were ready to face it. The enemy fleet floated above Velar like a storm ready to swallow the sky. The command ship was massive, shaped like a black dagger, with glowing red lines across its surface. Smaller drones circled it, scanning for threats. It looked impossible to reach, but the small black ship carrying Daxon, Soraya, and the old guard flew straight toward it. Inside the ship, the team worked in silence. Soraya checked the energy level of the memory shard, now glowing bright in Daxon's chest armor. The old guard set the coordinates for the enemy's weak point, found through ancient Valorian codes hidden in the Hall of Memory. Daxon strapped himself in and looked at Soraya. We really doing this? She nodded. No turning back now. He smiled. Good. I hate running anyway. The ship dived low under the enemy scanners and slid between two patrol drones. Alarms started flashing across enemy systems, red lights, tracking signals. They had been seen, missiles launched from the nearest enemy drones. The guard pulled the ship into a sharp turn, dodging explosions. They're locking on. Soraya fired back with pulse cannons, clearing a path. Hold it steady. Just get us close to the top of the command ship. Copy that, the guard said, guiding the ship through fire and smoke. They reached the outer hull and slammed into the side of the enemy command ship. The small craft locked itself magnetically. The hatch opened. Daxon and Soraya jumped out. Weapons ready. They landed on cold black metal. The surface was smooth, silent, too clean, like a machine made by no living hand. A platform rose from the hull. A tall figure appeared, one of the same dark beings seen in the memory stone. It wore smooth armor, faceless, glowing red. You should not be here, the figure said. You are late. The future has already been written. Daxon raised his weapon. Then let's rewrite it. The figure moved fast. A shockwave knocked them back. Soraya rolled to the side and fired, but the being dodged. Daxon charged straight at it, blade in hand. They clashed in a blur of sparks and metal. Every strike shook the platform. Daxon's strength was fading, but his will remained solid. The being tried to crush him with a blast, but Soraya leapt in and stabbed her plasma blade into its side. The being let out a strange sound like static and a scream. It fell back. This is your last chance, Soraya shouted. Call them off. End this war. The figure's red lights flickered. You cannot stop what has already begun. We are evolution. You are dust. Daxon reached into his armor and pulled out the shard. You want this? He said. Then take it. He slammed it into the port on the ship's surface. Energy surged. The shard wasn't just a memory. It was a key. The command ship began to shake. Systems failed. Lights dimmed. The drones around the planet fell from the sky like broken toys. The control network was collapsing. No! The figure shouted, stepping toward Daxon, but Soraya moved. Faster. She drove her blade deep into the being's chest. It froze, then shattered into fragments of light. The platform rumbled as the ship started to explode from the inside. Daxon grabbed Soraya's hand. We have to jump. They leapt off the command ship just as their own small ship flew underneath. The guard caught them mid-air using the ship's gravity beam and pulled them inside. Behind them, the command ship erupted into fire, the sky lit up with flames. The war was over. Back on Velar, the people watched in silence as the enemy fleet burned across the sky. Then cheers rose across the cities. Not just from Valorians but from humans watching from their orbit stations. Peace had returned. Later in the council hall, Saraya stood before thousands. Daxon stood beside her, his arm in a sling, a faint smile on his face. "We were enemies once," Saraya said. "But we were fooled. We were divided by lies. Today we rise as something greater. Together." The council stood and bowed. For the first time in Valorian history, a human was honored in the Hall of Truth. That night, as the stars returned to quiet, Saraya and Daxon sat on the tower roof where it all began. She looked at him. "You proved yourself," he laughed. "Took me long enough." She smiled. "So what now?" Daxon looked up at the stars. "Now we build something better." And beside him, Saraya nodded. Together they would.